It was a typical Saturday in our small town. All three of us had packed schedules, tightly coordinated. I took my daughter to swim practice, picking up her friend Kylie on the way. The girls had a busy session with group swims, runs, gym training, and weight sessions. Coaches rotated, giving individual workouts and time trials. When Erica was younger, I watched her practices from the stands. She asked me to stop because it made her nervous. "Daddy, go live your life and I'll live mine," she said. So I drop her off and head home to wash my immaculate 2013 Boss 302. I only drive it in summer, avoiding rain. For other times and bad weather, I have a Jeep, which loves the elements. While I wash the car, my wife Dana shops for the week. She comes home and we put away groceries together before heading to our Saturday classes. Sometimes we do things together, but often we're on separate schedules. That Saturday, Dana teased me about fixing the bed, then went off to her yoga class after some playful banter. With Dana gone, I had 3 hours to wash my car before a show. I felt a deep sense of contentment with my life. I had a loving family, a great job, and a nearly paid-off house. While washing the car, my phone buzzed with a call from Nancy, hysterical because her husband Ronnie had a heart attack. I calmed her down, told her to find out which hospital they were going to, and reassured her. I then tried to reach Dana, knowing she wouldn't have her phone due to her yoga studio's strict no-phone policy. Dana always defended the policy, despite my objections, reminding me that I had my own quirks. When I reached the yoga studio, I saw their sign, Yoga Bear, featuring a cartoon bear in a pose. The place was so traditional that all the practitioners were undressed, a detail Dana once explained with humor. I realized how lucky I was, but maybe my contentment tempted fate. Nancy's call was the beginning of what felt like a shift in my luck. I rushed to pick up Dana, knowing we'd face whatever came together. I forbade Dana from going there, but she started going twice as often. "Eric, I'm 34 and a mom," she laughed. "No one cares about my sagging bosom, flabby belly, and fat rear, except you." "Nonsense, Dana," I said. "You're still attractive, and you know it. You just want to show off to these young guys." "Eric, drop me off at the club and pick me up," she said. "Look at those skinny girls. None of the guys would notice me, and most are gay." I agreed, and was surprised. Most women there looked like models. Dana didn't stand out much, but she was mine, and I didn't like her showing off to those hipsters who criticized my cars. "Do you realize the damage you do to the environment driving this?" one asked. "I'm a proud American," I replied. "What does that have to do with it?" he asked. "The president says global warming is a hoax," I said. "What about the noise?" he said. "Music to my ears," I smiled. He shook his head and rode off. Dana ignored my protests, so I sulked. I stopped talking to her and avoided lovemaking. This caught her attention. She tried to tease me, but I laughed it off. "The guys in your yoga class see more," I said. "Yes, but they can't touch," she replied. Eventually she won. After 3 weeks, she joined me in the shower. "Eric, stop being like this," she said. "You're only hurting yourself." She was right. It was hard going without lovemaking. I hoped she'd drop yoga like her other workout fads. But she stuck with it for 7 months, cutting down to twice a week. She noticed we didn't have lovemaking after her Wednesday classes. She complained, but we both knew a massage would lead to lovemaking, so I avoided it. She accepted it reluctantly, but hated missing lovemaking on Saturday nights, especially after family activities. We argued a lot, and Erica often had to interrupt. Dana would tell Erica I was spending too much on cars. "But Mom, Dad loves these cars, and I love my dad." Dana usually gave in, but with a strange look on her face, and I always had a weird feeling. Having Erica defend me gave me chills and butterflies. I hugged her, feeling closer than ever. My love for her was overwhelming. I loved Dana, but I'd die for Erica. I carried her back to bed even though she was 10. When I returned, Dana and I continued arguing in whispers. "Why are you such an fool?" Dana whispered. "I tolerate your running and Mustang obsession." "It's not the same," I whispered back. "When I run, I'm alone and come straight home. I always ask before buying a car or making big purchases. It's our money because we're married." She nodded. "Then why do you get mad when I ask to drive one of our cars?" "Because you have your own car," I said. "And?" she asked. "Yours is all dented and scratched," I said shyly. "So you think you need to protect our cars from me?" She smiled. "And yoga is how I protect my body. I can't run or lift weights, but I can do yoga." "Why can't you do yoga with your clothes on?" I asked. "It's not the nudity," she said. "I just love the place and the people. But when you reject me, it makes me feel like a dirty strumpet." We never resolved it. At the yoga center, the receptionist greeted me. "Hi, Eric," said Indira, a dreamy-eyed young woman. "Hello, Indira," I smiled. "I need to get Dana. It's an emergency. Her dad had a heart attack." I entered and saw only undressed bodies, but no Dana. The instructor, who I called Jesus, said Dana was getting one-on-one lessons with the guru because she wasn't at the advanced level yet. I lied, "I won't say anything," and went to find Dana. Before entering the office, I got a message from my mother-in-law about the hospital room. I opened the door and saw Dana and an older Indian man in a compromising position. I started recording on my phone. "Hi, guys," I said loudly, opening the door wide. "What yoga pose is this?" They scrambled to separate, and Dana screamed in pain as the guru pressed too hard on her leg. She tried to lie her way out. "Eric, it's not what you think," she moaned. "What is this, then?" I growled. It looked more like lovemaking than yoga. The guru, a balding middle-aged man, tried to explain. "Eric, it's not what it seems. What you think you saw, you didn't see." "Oh my gosh, he's quoting Will Smith," I said. He looked confused as I approached. Realizing the situation, the guru jumped back into a karate-like pose. When my fist punched his face, his neck bent back, and he fell, spitting out teeth. My hand hurt so much that I never wanted to punch anything again. As I turned to leave, Dana, moaning on the floor, called out, "Eric, I'm sorry. My leg really hurts. I think I need to go to the hospital." "Great," I snorted. "While you were with that charlatan, your dad had a heart attack." Shocked, she begged to come with me, saying she couldn't drive. "Dana, remember when I bought my Mustang? You made me promise no strumpety woman would ever get in it. Given the circumstances, I can't offer you a seat." I left feeling lost. Jesus and a disciple blocked my way. "I called the police," he said. "Listen, Jesus," I said. "Move, or I'll show you another side of this world." He stepped aside, but the tattooed guy challenged me. I removed his glasses and placed them on the floor. He screamed as I left, hearing a crunch. "Don't tell me you stepped on my glasses," his friend shouted. "I'm sorry," Jesus said. At the reception, Indira was dealing with angry customers. I headed to the hospital, found my mother-in-law, and hugged her as she cried about my father-in-law needing a stent and a strict diet. "He'll need to recover before hearing that," I said, comforting her. When she asked about Dana, I told her the truth and reassured her Dana was on her way. Half an hour later, the surgeon informed us that my father-in-law would recover with diet and exercise. My mother-in-law bombarded her with questions. The surgeon, an older Indian woman I vaguely remembered, seemed annoyed but answered. Dana was wheeled into the room in a wheelchair. "Like Dad?" she asked. "What happened to you?" her mother asked. Dana looked at me and said, "I pulled a muscle in yoga." Her mother updated her about her father's condition, but Dana kept her eyes on me. She asked about the car show, and I told her I couldn't go because her mom called me. "You always put family first," Dana said. "We can forgive anything as long as we stick together and move on." "Dana, what are you talking about?" her mom asked. "Eric knows your dad didn't have a heart attack to stop him from going to the car show. No one owes anyone forgiveness. You're not making sense." Dana struggled to explain, and I saw my chance to leave. "Dana, with your leg, you can't pick up Erica from the mall. I'll go get her," I said. "You two can pick me up later," she said. "It's better if you go home with Mom," I said. "She shouldn't be alone right now. I'll call you later." I hugged her mom and left quickly. At the mall, I waited in the parking lot, texted Erica, and started searching for divorce lawyers on my phone. The reality of what happened hit me hard. My father-in-law and I both had our hearts broken today. His physically, mine emotionally. I realized my life had to change. Just as he had to adopt a healthier lifestyle, I had to decide if I could ever face Dana again. Thinking about her felt like an emotional void. The number of divorce lawyers was overwhelming, making me realize I was just another statistic. The world wouldn't stop for my divorce. My phone rang. It was Dana, crying, begging for forgiveness. "Eric, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. It won't happen again." "Dana, was this the first time?" I asked. "Not really," she sobbed. "This isn't even the first time with him, right?" I asked. Her deep breath gave me the answer. "It doesn't mean anything," she said. "It was just an experience, something new." "No, Dana, it means you're a cheater. We probably won't be together much longer." My heart pounded, pain washing over me. "What's wrong?" my mother-in-law asked. "Nothing, Mom," I lied. "We were just talking about how lucky we are that Dad is okay." I tried calling Eric again, but he didn't answer. In desperation, I called Erica. "What?" she answered. That's not how you answer the phone, I said. Oh, hi, Mom. I'm tired from swimming and walking around the mall. Where's your father? I asked. He's outside washing his car and talking to himself, she said, sounding concerned. I don't think he feels well. Can you ask him to answer the phone? I asked. Mom, you know how he is when he washes his cars. I'll tell him to call you when he's done. Bye, she said, hanging up. I was furious. The problem was that Eric spoiled Erica so much that she did whatever she wanted without consequences. I waited by the phone, hoping it would ring. My injured leg throbbed, and after taking painkillers, I passed out. When I woke up the next morning, the house was empty, and my leg hurt terribly. I realized where I was and why. The painkillers must have taken a while to kick in because it was already morning. I felt a chill. I had no idea where Eric or my mother was. Eric's phone went straight to voicemail, which scared me because it meant he had blocked my number. I called again. I called Erica, and she finally answered, sounding angry. Yes, Mom, she said coldly. Erica, where are you? I asked. Dad took us to the movies with Sarah and her sister. Then he's going to visit Grandpa in the hospital. Sarah's mom will pick us up, and Dad will get me from Sarah's house. Bye, Mom. I decided Erica and I needed to talk when this was over. Eric had spoiled her so much that she only obeyed him, and she acted like she ran the house. Eric quickly arranged for her to be busy so he could go out, but neither thought about me. I calmed down, realizing Erica was just 10 years old and couldn't be expected to show adult-level care and attention. I knew I had done something terrible to my husband, and it would take a long time to fix. I took another painkiller and went back to sleep. For the next few days, I stayed in bed to let my leg heal. I called my father, but it was lonely, and my mother seemed angry with me. When I asked her why, she exploded. You never came to the hospital, she said. Eric is here every day, even bringing Erica. He's your father's brother-in-law, not his blood relative. Mom, the doctors say I may need surgery if I strain my hip muscles, I explained. I promised to make it up to Dad, but he'll probably recover faster than me. Desperate, I turned to my friend Peggy for help and told her everything. I think you need to divorce him, she said. Remember why you married him? Divorce him, and you'll be free to do whatever you want as long as he supports you. That won't work, I said. Eric earns more than me, but not enough for significant alimony. Then quit your job, you idiot, she said. Why work when he can support you? I looked at her like she was crazy. Why does he put up with this? I laughed. You've lost your touch, she said. You married him because you got pregnant in college. You planned to leave him when Erica could take care of herself. He loves her enough to pay the maximum child support, and he'll always work extra to provide. Men are stupid. He still hasn't realized Erica isn't his child. She was laughing when I heard the door downstairs. Peggy, shut up, I said. My mom is home. She doesn't need to hear your ideas. Why are my ideas stupid? She asked. If you follow my advice, you can have as many men as you want and still have someone to take care of your daughter. What do you have to lose? That's it, I exclaimed. I did something stupid with my yoga teacher. In the studio, he had this power and mystery, and everyone seemed to worship him. Plus, I've never been with a man from another country. But Eric has been taking care of my daughter since before she was born. He would die before letting anything happen to her. I don't need anyone else. What about the secret from the yoga guy? Peggy giggled. As soon as Eric walked into that room, I realized I had done something stupid. I hesitated. And what? She laughed. It's not funny, Peggy, I said. Eric loves me. I'm his whole world, and I offended him deeply. I was wrong. Maybe I should come clean. Don't do that, fool, she hissed. If he knew how many times you cheated, he'd never talk to you again. What I meant was that I wanted to confess to you, Peggy, I said. She laughed. I already know all your secrets. No, you don't, I said. I love Eric, too. Over the past 10 years, my needs have changed. I've matured. I hadn't cheated on him for more than 5 years. Are you kidding me? She laughed. He's cute, but normal as hell. He's like Dad. He's my daughter's father, and we both love him, Peggy. I can find guys like him anytime I want, she said. No, Peg, I laughed. You borrow them. They get a piece of you and give nothing back. If your car breaks down or you get sick, does anyone care? You can get guys to entertain you, but who holds you? Who loves you, Peggy? We were silent for a while. Peggy, neither of us can fit into our old cheerleading outfits, I said. But Eric still thinks I'm hot. He gets jealous when other guys look at me. He will love me forever, and I just broke his heart over an affair. I'm so stupid. Let's change plans, she said. We need to get him back. A few minutes later, my mother came in. Eric dropped off some clothes for you, she said. Mom, I would never allow disrespect in your home, I said. Dana, if you want another child, I wouldn't mind. Eric is 10, and you don't want to wait too long. Peggy laughed, but I felt warmth in my stomach. I wanted to give Eric the child he deserves. But first, I needed to win him back. Peggy and I brainstormed, but nothing worked. I got messages from Eric through my mother or Erica, hoping my leg would heal or suggesting he should leave town. Erica and I grew distant. She thought I abandoned her. I know how to get him back, Peggy said excitedly. 2 weeks after Eric left town, I sat up, hurting my leg. How? I asked. Give him a divorce, she said. I almost slapped her. You're crazy, I said. This is brilliant, she said. He loves you and will beg you to drop the suit. If it goes further, meet with your lawyer and his and ask for a private meeting. If he refuses, demand counseling. How do you know so much about divorce? I asked. I went through 4 of them, she grinned. You're lying. You've never been married, I laughed. I didn't say I was, she replied. But I've slept with a lot of married men and caused 4 or 5 divorces. That's how it works. Men lose in divorce. I followed her advice and hired a new lawyer to act for me. We assured him there would be no legal proceedings, but everything went wrong. I don't know why I listened to Peggy, who had never been married and never loved anyone but herself. Everything turned into a disaster. Eric was called to work, and I had a bad feeling from the start. We hired a gum-chewing blonde bailiff who was supposed to be a shark. My lawyer was there to videotape it so I could see. She approached Eric, confirmed his name, and served him the summons. He teared up, accepted the envelope, and shook his head. She cheated on me, but she's asking for a divorce, he said, and she hugged him. I got angry because she was supposed to be tough. She even gave him her business card. My lawyer requested a meeting, but Eric's lawyer refused and wanted to go straight to the judge or arbitration. My lawyer pushed for counseling, and the court agreed, ordering Eric to attend sessions. Eric refused, so the judge scheduled a hearing. Peggy and I were hopeful. My lawyer said the judge would force Eric into counseling, and I felt like victory was near. I dressed up to show Eric what he was missing, but he looked terrible, like he hadn't slept or stopped crying. I thought I smelled victory, but I was deceived from the start. My lawyer began his statements nervously, but grew confident. The judge seemed unimpressed. My lawyer laid out my demands for consultation, a personal meeting, and reasonable alimony and child support. Then Eric's lawyer raised his hand, and the judge called us to his chambers. Hi, honey, I said to Eric, but he ignored me. The judge entered angrily with a large cup and questioned my lawyer. What are you trying to pull, Mr. McCaffrey? The judge asked. Why are you pretending to be a lawyer? I was shocked. Your Honor, I am a lawyer, he said. I graduated last in my class and got my diploma. But you haven't passed the bar exam, the judge shouted. You've committed fraud. The bailiff will take you to jail. You miss for attempting to deceive this court. Eric's lawyer intervened, saying he had a recording to play. The judge agreed. Eric's lawyer played a recording I didn't know existed. It revealed that Eric had brought me clothes and heard everything. He knew the truth. Eric, I began. What else do I need to know? He asked. You didn't marry me because you loved me. You married me to raise someone else's child and cheated on me all this time. If I hadn't caught you, you would have left me when Erica was old enough. Eric, it started like that, but over time You fooled me, Dana, he said. I loved you and our life, but it was all fake. That's one of the worst things I've ever heard, the judge said. Young man, I can't give you back the years you wasted, but I can give you freedom. Your divorce is approved, no alimony. And you, young lady, choose between jail for fraud or giving up your rights to the family home. He can take the house, I said. Eric nodded. I know you probably don't care, but it's going to be hard for me to tell Erica about the divorce. I'll need time to explain. Don't do this, he said. What do you mean? I asked. Do you know who her father is? He asked. This was my first time away from home, I said. I was out of control. I chose you because you stayed when others ran. How do you know she's not yours? I did a DNA test 2 years ago, I said. She doesn't know. She loves you and you're the only dad she knows. I need time to tell her. Don't do this, he repeated. One of us being heartbroken is enough. I will pay child support and we'll share custody. We'll alternate weeks. But why did you... I started. I love her too, he said. She's all I have left. We'll tell her the truth when she's older. What about the divorce? I asked. Could we... He shook his head. She has friends with divorced parents. She can handle it easier. The judge glared at me. If you come back to my court for any reason, even as a plaintiff, you'll go to jail for a long time, he said. Despite everything, I wanted to plan how to win Eric back. His love and compassion showed when he agreed to pay child support and stay in Erica's life. I decided to give him time and space to heal. It was a trap, Peggy hissed as I left court. What do you mean? I asked. I talked to Mitch. He thinks Eric and his lawyer planned it all. Why didn't he file for divorce? He had all the evidence. He waited because he still loved you and Erica. He made you file for divorce to pay the legal fees and used the tape against you in a hearing where it could be admitted. Over the next weeks, things got worse. I had to tell my parents about the divorce. Eric insisted I tell them the truth, but not reveal that Erica wasn't his. My father was disappointed, but supportive. My mother slapped me and cried. What next time? She said. You're 35. Men your age want younger women. Older men want something on the side. If they're worth anything, they're married, divorced, or not interested in marrying. You... What, Mom? I asked. Eric, she said. Is he okay? He knew what you did and still came to the hospital every day. He visited your father, talked to us, and brought Erica. He even took your dad home. Yet he never... Mom cried, and even Dad looked at me angrily. Dana, he went through all this pain alone, my mother exclaimed. He was so kind to us, and Erica was as happy as ever. I don't think she knew how much pain he was in. He never said a bad word about you and kept making excuses for why you weren't there. You stayed home pretending your leg hurt because you were afraid we'd find out. My leg was hurt, I said. It was a serious injury. I don't think they believed me. I realized I had not only destroyed my marriage, but also damaged my relationship with my parents. I stayed with them until I found an apartment, but things got worse. One day, my mother handed me the phone like it was a dirty rag. Dana, I really need your help, said the voice I recognized immediately. What do you want? I spat. Haven't you caused enough damage? Call your husband, he said. He's ruining my life. Welcome to the club, I said. I'm already divorced. My parents barely talk to me. My daughter thinks I abandoned her, and my husband won't even speak to me. What's he doing? My yoga studio closed, he complained. When your husband caught us, the students left and spread the word. It ended up on Facebook, and I lost my accreditation. Your husband is suing me for ruining your marriage. I laughed. These lawsuits rarely result in much money, I said. It's not about the money. He's suing me for only $25, but it caused my wife to find out, jeopardizing my marriage. My wife's lawyers offered him money to drop the suit, but he won't even meet with them. He's acting like a man who has lost everything and wants to hurt everyone. I felt worse. I didn't pity him, but I felt sorry for his wife and children. They didn't deserve this, and her patients needed her. I can't promise anything, but I'll make one phone call. Are you calling your husband? He asked, sounding relieved. No, I said. He doesn't take my calls, but I'll call someone who listens. A few minutes later, I called Erica. What now, Mom? She said. Dad is taking me and my friends to Cold Stone. I later met with the yoga instructor's wife. She was beautiful and kind, with deep brown eyes full of intelligence and sadness. French fries aren't good for your heart, she began. I run a lot, so I can afford it, I replied. What's your 5K record? She asked. 20 minutes, I said proudly. Wow, you're fast, she said. Her smile, despite the pain and situation, showed her character. I immediately liked her and felt small for my actions. How can I help you, doctor? I asked sincerely. Let me help you, she said. I know you are suffering. Me too. I will drop the lawsuit, the newspaper coverage, the social campaign, everything, I said. How much will it cost me? She asked, smiling. I've already offered your lawyers $500,000. I can't afford more. We both knew she could. We also knew she would earn more once things settled down, but it wasn't her fault. How's your divorce going? I asked. We have 6 children, she smiled. We have an old-fashioned marriage. There will be no divorce. Why do you ask? I smiled back. There was a strong attraction between us, and I was sure she felt it. Her next statement confirmed this. If you're thinking what I'm thinking, it must be very secret, she said. It would also make us no better than them, I said. It's a shame we're better than the people we married. How much money does your husband have? I asked. I don't want a penny from you, but I want to hurt him. He probably has $150,000 left from my parents' dowry and over 2 years of rent paid on a now-closed yoga studio. I already told him he can't leave the house. He's now a housewife taking care of the children and home. That's what I want, I said. The $150,000 and the yoga studio. But I offered you 3 times as much. She laughed. You were not yourself. I did it to hurt him, I said. I never meant to hurt you. This way I can take his pride, but promise not to replace his money. Oh, I'd like to hurt him too, she said. Besides household expenses, I won't give him a penny. So I became the owner of a closed yoga studio. With a great job and almost no debt, the money was an unexpected gift. I bought a 2003 SVT Cobra convertible and put the rest toward Erica's college fund. My in-laws didn't understand my passion for cars, but they were happy to see me planning for Erica's future. My mother-in-law was sad, though. It's just hard to accept that I'll only have one grandchild, she said sadly. Is there absolutely no way? I hugged her and shook my head. She never loved me, I said. If we didn't have Erica, she wouldn't have married me. Eric, you need to talk to her, she said. Her feelings for you have changed over the years. She loved you by the end and is unhappy without you. I think she just got used to me, I said. This isn't the love I want, but she will find someone else, and maybe you can still have more grandchildren. In the following weeks, I focused on work and making the transition easy for Erica. The fact that she wasn't my biological child didn't matter to me. Erica was my baby from the day she was born, and she would be until she turned 18. The first week went smoothly. I took her to school, signed her up for after-school activities, and we cooked dinner together. She did her homework while I worked on my cars or worked out. We ended the evening talking or watching TV together, avoiding the painful topic. The second week was supposed to be Dana's turn, but she hadn't found a place yet. I kept Erica for another week, but by the 4th week, Erica started speaking badly about her mother. I intervened and went to her grandparents with a proposal. Listen, Mrs., I began, and she looked offended. Eric, you've never called me anything other than Nancy or Mom in the last 10 years. What's changed? She asked. I'm not your son-in-law anymore, I replied. Who said that? She asked. What's your idea? Erica is getting angry about Dana's absence, I said. I know she hasn't found a place yet and doesn't want Erica there, so I'd like Dana to use the house next week. She hugged me. That's a great idea, she said. Where will you stay? I'll rent a room at a motel near work, I said. Oh no, she said. You can stay in the guest room upstairs. Those motels have some rabble. So I stayed with my in-laws for a week. On Saturday night, I took them to dinner as a thank you. On Sunday morning, I picked up the house. I arranged for Erica to go to an amusement park with friends. After my run and shower, I picked them up and brought them home for dinner. I expected the girls would get bored at the park early, but when I returned home, the house was a mess. My 10-year-old daughter tried to clean it up. We worked together to get it presentable, and then her favorite outfit went into the wash. Thankfully, the express cleaning cycle handled it, and I had her clothes out of the dryer just as Pam's mom called to say she was on her way. I missed you so much, Daddy, Erica said, hugging me goodbye. I went to my room to change into my running clothes and found it a mess with Dana asleep on my bed and an open bottle of booze on the bedside table. I quickly grabbed my clothes and left the room. After changing in the kitchen, I headed to the park. My phone rang. It was Dana. Hi, Dana, I said. Erica's gone, she said. I explained everything to her calmly. Oh, she said. You're really good at this single-parent thing. I need to get my act together. It's easy for me, I said. She loves you more. She cried. I understand. I'm a cow who destroyed my family. Have you ever thought that you feel better because you have this damn house? There was a pause, and then I heard her sobbing. I hadn't meant to hurt her. I explained that it was easy for me because Erica is all I have. You have a big family, Dana. I was an only child and my parents died before we met. I'm obsessed with Erica because she's the only person I care about. Her gasp of pain could be heard over the phone. I'm so sorry, Eric, she croaked. I don't deal with this well. I want my house back, my family back, my husband back. Last week, I saw that little Indian weasel who caused all this. He and his wife and kids were in the park. He tried to take his wife's hand, but she moved away. At least they're working on it. Their family is still together. Why not ours? This is unfair. I don't have all the answers, I said. I have to run to pick up Erica from the carnival. Okay, Eric, she said. Do you think we could ever, talk about someday? Not now, it's still too early. I'm not ready to deal with these feelings yet. Bye, Dana. Everything I told her was true, but it was only half of what was in my heart. I faced my own problems with our situation. There was anger in me that wasn't there before. I hated Dana for what she did. We were married for 10 years, and it was a lie. She looked me in the eyes every day and lied. I had no way of knowing how many times she cheated. This anger wasn't only directed at Dana. Except for my daughter and mother-in-law, I didn't trust women. I could be polite in work situations and chat with Erica's teachers and friends' mothers, but I didn't trust them. I knew my feelings were unhealthy. A counselor told me my behavior was normal, given what I'd been through, and that I needed a healthy way to release my anger. I reached out to some guys who had gone through divorces. They all said the anger would go away with time. I began to wonder how long it would take and what they did to cope. I decided to start a support group. I called a few divorced friends and asked about their experiences, focusing on those who divorced due to infidelity. I didn't include guys who cheated themselves. They deserved what they got. I also included a few who were dumped before they could get married. If they loved the woman, they were just as unhappy. Once I had a list, I invited them to my house. We had catering from a nearby bar with snacks and craft beer. There was also a grill station for cooking meat. 15 guys came. We had a large group session where everyone told their stories and smaller group discussions. I noticed there were a lot of cool cars, trucks, motorcycles, and combo vehicles on my street. Everything went great, and I wasn't the only one who thought so. A big guy named Bill Peck, betrayed by his childhood girlfriend after 23 years of marriage, asked a question many wondered. Eric, I enjoyed this. It was great to hang out with guys who understand what I'm going through. When is the next meeting? I'll call you all and let you know, I said. Over the next few days, almost every guy who attended our event called me with ideas and plans. Within weeks, we formed an organization that was part support group, part social club, and part family. Our third event was a tour of my empty yoga studio, which I proposed to turn into our clubhouse. Several members who were contractors volunteered time and materials, and we cleaned the building. The new decor was very masculine. A huge bar, large screens on every wall, plenty of seating, a gym with punching bags, lockers, and showers left over from the yoga studio. We had an idea to occasionally run from the club. The funniest moment was when they installed the club sign with the letters BBC. Hey, one guy said, that's how I lost my wife. Another joked, I already have one of those and it didn't do me any good. Remember the YMCA and boys clubs from when we were younger? I said. Welcome to the Broken Hearts Club. The club started strong. We limited membership to those truly affected by divorces or relationships. Many guys wanted to join after seeing the cars and motorcycles parked outside. Women who misunderstood the sign also tried to join, but a member named Will expertly turned them away. The club took on a life of its own with trips, activities, parties, and even wild events. We all harbored resentment toward women, especially our ex-wives. One Saturday, while Erica was with Dana, I was washing my car behind the club when she approached and handed me a microfiber cloth. Thank you, I said, distracted. You're welcome, she smiled. Her voice was magical, like Stevie Nicks singing with a soft southern accent. Her sparkling brown eyes and melodic voice caught my attention. She had a heart-shaped face, honey blonde hair, and full lips that could quickly change expressions. Despite my initial attraction, my recent heartbreak made me wary. Why should I do you a favor? I asked. Because Nancy told me her brother-in-law is the sweetest man in the world, she smiled. I struggled to keep a straight face. What favor? I asked. I want you to break the rules of this man-hater club, she said. No way, I replied. I can't let you. Despite my words, part of me wanted to find a way to include her. She smiled and shook her head. Not for me, Eric, she chuckled. For my dad. Did your mother cheat on him? I asked. Never, she answered sharply. Her shock at the thought of cheating warmed my heart. But she kind of lied to him. That's almost as bad, I said. Women are natural liars. Not all women, she said. Then she told me a story that could be a Lifetime movie. Her parents were high school sweethearts who got married and started a family. She raised her hand and bowed, saying life seemed wonderful, but then she got cancer. Her husband quit his job and sold everything to pay for her treatment. He stayed with her through diagnosis, surgery, and chemotherapy until her months-long recovery. Fortunately, she recovered. Though older and scarred, they loved each other more. It took years to pay off the medical debts, but they did it with joy and rebuilt their lives. Damn. They beat cancer, I said. Nothing could stop them anymore. They rebuilt their savings, paid for their daughter's college, and planned for retirement. But one day, she couldn't wait and wanted to take a cruise and tour Europe. Her husband agreed. The cruise was wonderful, like they were young and in love again. In Europe, she enjoyed herself but was often tired. When he mentioned it, she joked about being pregnant even though they were both over 60. She promised to see a doctor when they returned to Texas. She died in her sleep, holding his hand on their first night home. She left a letter explaining everything. Her cancer had returned aggressively. The doctor gave her 6 months, maybe more with treatment, but she chose to die on her own terms. She asked for forgiveness for not telling him, but wanted to die on her own terms. She felt nothing but love for her husband and wanted him to continue living. "My dad is a big, strong man," she said, but he cried for a week. Then he got angry, feeling deceived by my mother. "I need help getting him out of the house and introducing him to other guys. His pain isn't the same as yours, but I think you would be good for each other." I agreed to meet him with Will and Barney. We talked to him and liked him instantly. He thought it was a recruiting campaign, but eventually joined us. What really convinced him was his truck, a huge F-250 Power Stroke, all chrome. "Can you tow a double car trailer with this?" I asked. "I can drag a damn building with it," he replied, "unless there's a fat woman sitting on it." We were sold, and Tom became a member of the BBC. The club prospered and grew more active. We took trips and did various activities. About 3 months after Tom joined, I realized we had a problem. We camped in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Some fished, others hiked, and some stayed at the camp, drinking and chatting. I noticed a shine on the ridge above us. Thinking it might be hunters or environmentalists, I crept up and found her. I tapped her shoulder and she dropped the binoculars. "Damn, Eric, you scared me," she exclaimed, playfully punching my shoulder. Her hand lingered on my shoulder and I felt a connection. She quickly pulled her hand away. "Oh, I forgot. You hate women," she chuckled. "Jenny, what are you doing here? And why are you alone?" I asked. "I'm not alone," she said. "Ralph is with me." A wave of jealousy hit me, but her expression showed she understood. "You'd have to be a fool to go against Ralph," she said. I saw a small tent with one sleeping bag. "You must be very close," I said. "We've been sleeping in the same bed since I was 11 or 12, she chuckled. "Do you want to meet him?" My jealousy turned to anger. "No, I just wanted to make sure you were safe," I said. "It must be terrible," she whispered. "What?" I asked. "Being at war with yourself," she said. "You and my dad are alike. He still cries for my mom, but then calls her a cowardly liar. Being with you guys helps him. You have so much fun it doesn't give him time to think." I understood what she meant. For most of the guys, the club was a breath of fresh air. "I'm not like that," I said. "I hardly think about my ex." "No, you're still at war. You're past moving on, but stuck in your pity party." I stared at her. "You still haven't told me what you and Ralph are doing here," I said, changing the subject. "Eric, my dad is strong, but he can't protect himself from his grief. Don't tell anyone, but he's come close to joining my mom several times. He misses her terribly." I was shocked. I never thought Tom could be suicidal. "Jenny, be careful. When someone goes missing and is found dead, it's often in the woods. That's why we always work in pairs. Where's Ralph?" "In the tent," she grinned. She walked to her small tent, and I couldn't help but notice her tanned legs. She caught me looking and grinned. "Want to meet Ralph or stare at my back all day?" "I have a choice," I said without thinking. Her smile lit up the forest. "You can be a real charmer when you want," she said, then held up a 12-gauge rifle. "This is Ralph. Anyone who wants to hurt me has to deal with Ralph first." "Eric! Eric!" someone shouted from the camp. I grabbed her hand and rushed back. "What are you doing?" she protested as we ran into camp. My friends looked relieved and then shocked to see Jenny. "It's a girl," one said. "It's just my daughter," Tom said, annoyed. "Checking on me again, huh? I'm fine. You can leave?" "The sun is setting. It's too dangerous to drive back. She'll stay the night." "But what about our gathering around the fire?" someone asked. "She's heard bad singing before," I laughed. "What about our therapy session?" another asked. "I have classic movies in the car," I said. "Her dad's truck has a DVD player. She won't hear our complaints." "She'll sleep in her own tent or her dad's truck," I said. "Who the hell is Ralph?" someone asked, ending the conversation. For the rest of the evening, Jenny stayed close to me or her father, mostly me since he was upset. The next morning, I helped her pack her tent and sleeping bag into her Ford Fusion. "That wasn't so bad, was it?" she asked. "What?" I asked. Being around one of those mean women, she chuckled. Nancy was right. You're really cute. Her daughter is a fool. I barely contained the urge to kiss her. Be careful on the road, I said, turning away. Still struggling, huh? She laughed. Dana, get up. You're late for work. My mom's voice cut through my hangover. I took a few days off. It was stupid and selfish. Dana, you have Erica next week. You could do it then. Why can't I get special treatment for a few days? I screamed. Why can't I just relax and breathe? You've been getting that for 10 years, remember? You divorced him, remember? Now you have to work and take care of things like everyone else. I stood up, still wearing last night's clothes. Dana, you're dressed like a strumpet and you smell like booze, she said. I went into the bathroom. Mom, I'm not 20. I'm in my 30s. I can relax sometimes. I can't do anything for a year anyway, so I might as well get it out of my system. Dana, what are you talking about? She asked. Every article says it takes a man a year or two to get over betrayal. If I try to get Eric back too soon, it will only make him angrier. Did you know he's like the president of a woman-hating club? Yes, I knew, she said. But I never knew why. Eric is too good to do something like that without a reason. You cheated on him. I thought my mother was going to have a heart attack. The last couple of months were awful. My relationship with my parents deteriorated. They looked at me like I was a parasite, just clinging to them. My daughter felt abandoned by me. I tried explaining that Eric was to blame for me leaving, and I told her I was ready to return as soon as Eric allowed it. I didn't badmouth Eric, but I was tired of hearing how well he was doing without me. If I hear one more time about Dad's promotion or raise, I'll scream. Even our old friends avoided me. The few who did talk only asked about Eric or mentioned meetings with him. Didn't they understand his absence was damaging me? The only person who understood was Peggy. After her terrible legal advice, she felt guilty and decided to help me adapt to my new life and eventually get Eric back. Peggy suggested I let out all my wild desires. Think about it, Dana, she said. You're not cheating on anyone because you're not married. We went out a lot, and I met many people. Peggy said I was still young and needed to get it out of my system. After a couple of months, it was over. I didn't understand why it started in the first place. Dating my yoga instructor was just a flirtation that never seriously threatened my marriage. I would go to him, have lovemaking, and return home to my husband ready for him. Eric was a fool. Our carnal moments were more than just physical. It was about love. Peggy made me realize that the difference was love. Eric cared about my pleasure because he loved me. I'll never find that again. Each guy I slept with increased the chances of someone knowing Eric. If he found out, I'd never get him back. Mom was right. I had Erica next week, but I promised Peggy I'd go to Vegas. I also had trouble finding another job. I missed too many days and was late too often, so I got fired. My stay at my parents' house was becoming less acceptable, and Eric wasn't willing to let me use the house after I left it in disarray twice. I needed to ask him to keep Erica for next week. He'd agree, but he'd insist on sticking to the schedule, meaning he'd have her for 3 weeks straight. Even though he wasn't her biological father, he loved her deeply. I felt terrible. Eric loved Erica as much as he once loved me, and it was my fault we weren't together. I convinced him she was his daughter, and I truly believed it. Before the school did that DNA test, I wasn't sure either. There were times when I wanted another child, but couldn't risk it not looking like Erica. I took a deep breath and called him. Hello, he said, making me feel better. Eric, I need your help, I began. Why ask me? We're not married anymore, he said lightly, as if he didn't love me anymore. This is about Erica, I said, our daughter. His tone immediately became warmer. He had my full attention now. I have to leave town next week. Can you take care of her? I asked. Crap, he said. I was going on a cruise. A cruise? I hissed. I was furious. I had no money, and my ex was going on a cruise without me. I have an idea, he said. I'll call you back. It took him about 20 minutes to call me back. I arranged everything, he said. Have a nice trip. The more I thought about it, the more I regretted not going on the cruise with him. But he never offered, even though he knew it was on my bucket list. I was about to say something, but he hung up. I called him back. What, Dana? He asked. I just wanted to thank you and say I'm sorry you'll miss your cruise, I said. Erica has a wonderful dad. I'm taking her on a cruise, he replied. I called her teacher and she can miss 5 days of school. She'll have fun. Bye, Dana. The call ended, and I felt even worse. I called Peggy to tell her I could go to Vegas with her. What's happening in Vegas? She exclaimed. He comes home and ruins your life, I said. You were worried your ex-husband might recognize some guys you slept with? So now you'll have guys from a different state. Plus, he's your ex-husband. Emphasis on ex. But I don't want him to be an ex, I said. He's going on a cruise and I can't even rent an apartment. So you're leaving the baby with your parents? She asked. No, I sobbed. He's taking her on a cruise. He planned it last minute. Let's go to Vegas and have fun, she suggested. It'll be better than sitting here sad because your ex is on a cruise. But how will we pay for it? I asked. I have a rich friend who throws parties to keep clients happy. He likes having attractive women at his parties. Trust me, there will be more than 2 of us. I had doubts. I called my daughter, knowing Eric wouldn't talk to me. She was too excited, telling me about the ship and the entertainment. The more she talked, the angrier I got. It sounded like my dream vacation. Then I realized a cruise could be a chance to reunite with Eric. I called the cruise line Erica mentioned. The price for a private cabin was outrageous, and the ship was sold out except for a few cabins reserved by groups. Eric's club must have booked them at a discount. He probably arranged a larger cabin for him and Erica. Our divorce changed our family in unexpected ways. I focused on Eric and neglected my relationship with Erica. She grew closer to him, and we grew distant. I promised to work on it after Vegas. I postponed a lot of things, finding a job, renting an apartment, getting Eric back, fixing my relationship with Erica. There were many paths ahead. I felt nervous, but explained everything to the club members. All 40 were on the ship. Some brought guests, and I wasn't the only one who brought a woman. Will brought his mom, who was quite funny. I told the guys I had to cancel or bring Erica. They agreed she should come. They knew her and had played video games with her during poker nights. I wanted Erica to enjoy the cruise, but she was only 10, so I couldn't let her wander alone while I managed club activities. When I was married, things were easier. It might not take a village to raise a child, but it takes 2 parents. I didn't want to invite Dana. I still felt bad talking to her. My first choice was Erica's grandparents. Nancy liked the idea, but her husband was still recovering from a heart attack and was reluctant. This limited my options, so I asked for a favor. Standing on the deck, I watched people board, wondering where she was. I felt my daughter turn to look at something. "Are you waiting on the lawn?" I recognized that Texas drawl. She wasn't talking to me, but to Erica. "Jenny," my daughter exclaimed, "I like your outfit." I turned around and almost fell over the railing. During the flight from Michigan, my daughter clung to me the whole time. Suddenly, she turned to a stranger and called her by name. Jenny was thrilled, covered from head to knees, but still the hottest on the ship. Her outfit was amazing. A white Audrey Hepburn-style pillbox hat with a sheer veil, a dark blue dress highlighting her curves, a matching white belt, and high white heels. She smiled at me. "You're looking again," she said. "I was just worried you wouldn't make it," I replied. "Dad and I got here early," she laughed. "I've already found all the fun things we can do." "What about me?" Erica asked. "I was talking about us, honey," Jenny said. "Your dad will be with the boys, but maybe we'll let him join us sometimes." For the next 4 days, we had a blast. I made sure the guys had a great time, but most of my time was with Erica and Jenny. We found a natural rhythm, though I always seemed to lose. 2 days before we disembarked, things got interesting. Erica and Jenny were going to a pool, where Erica tried teaching Jenny to swim better. Jenny promised to teach Erica to ride a horse when we got home. I judged our club's first annual diving and water tricks competition, which quickly turned into a beer-drinking contest. With no need for a judge, I watched Erica teach Jenny to swim. I settled into a lounge chair next to a friendly guy from another group. He was a chubby party animal who thought he was God's gift to women. "That girl needs to stop teasing me," he said. "She's hiding an outrageous body under that swimsuit." I looked at him. "Who?" I asked. "That girl with long brown hair," he said. "She wants me, keeps bending over in front of me." I snapped. I stood up, ready to punch him, but a giant fist stopped me. It was Tom. "I see I arrived just in time," he said. "This isn't what I wanted to talk about." "Do you know her?" the guy asked. "I thought you were from that club that hates women." Tom punched him so hard his chair collapsed. His friend quickly raised his hands in surrender. "No arguing," his friend said. People gathered around us, including crew members. "His chair collapsed," I lied. The crew left as soon as the guy regained consciousness. "What happened?" he asked, confused. "All I said was that they were in a gay club," Plump said. "Nobody cares about that." "Except it's not a gay club," Will said. "Some people might find that offensive." "Oops, I'll buy you a beer and explain." "Are you okay?" Jenny asked me. I almost hit the guy, I said. I did hit him, Tom said. Eric, you're a good guy, Tom said. We need to discuss the club's future. I immediately felt uneasy. What happens if you leave, he asked, or move on? Why should I do this, I asked. Eric, we sat at the same table for dinner last night, he said. What did Jenny eat? She had spaghetti with that weird sauce and shrimp, I replied. What did I eat? He asked. I thought about it. See my point? He asked. Not really, I said. Jenny usually wears jeans and t-shirts. Once she heard about the cruise, she started buying fancy clothes, he explained. Huh, okay, I said, still confused. I'm a big guy, but I'm smart enough not to get in the way of something unstoppable. He took a sip of his beer, but I was distracted by Jenny approaching with Erica. Dad, we're tired of eating out, Erica said. We want to grab something from the buffet and sit on the deck. Okay, I said, noticing Erica starting to speak with an accent, dropping G's and stretching syllables. What were you and my dad talking about? Jenny asked. Secret stuff for the Water Buffalo Lodge? I don't know, I said. We talked about dinner, your clothes, and trains. I need a favor, she smiled. I nodded. Ask what it is? She winked. This is important, she said. Okay, what do I need to do? Get dressed and take me dancing, she said. Okay, I said. Erica will probably be asleep by dinner. Ella will watch her. Okay, she said, her smile lighting up the room. I asked Tom and Willie to take care of things while I was out. They were proud to help. Where will you be? Tom asked. I'm, going dancing, I said. Damn trains, he muttered. They can't be stopped. Yeah, Willie said, looking puzzled. 10 minutes later, I was in the shower, then putting on a tuxedo. I chose a black suit, black shirt, and a red bow tie. I felt like James Bond and wanted a vodka martini, shaken not stirred. I knocked on Jenny's door, and she opened it before the second knock. Shh, she whispered. She's trying to resist sleep. Where are we going? Asked Erica, barely awake. Sleep. Love you, Daddy. She lay down on the couch. I carried her to bed. When I turned around, Jenny was stunning in a little black dress. Her face was what captivated me. We didn't dance so much as hug in the center of the dance floor. We swayed back and forth in one long hug. Between songs, I got us drinks. White wine for Jenny and a vodka martini for me. For someone who hates women, you actually feel good about yourself, she said. I feel so warm and safe. In the middle of her sentence, I rushed out of the ballroom and leaned over the side of the ship. What's wrong? She asked. My drink, I spat. It's horrible. She took a sip and spit it out. It tastes like medicine. What is this? Vodka martini. Shaken, not stirred, I said proudly. Why did you order this? She asked. I felt like James Bond dressing up for you, so I ordered a James Bond drink, I muttered. You make me feel 10 feet tall and bulletproof. She put her hand on my mouth. It would work, she said. What? I asked, feeling dizzy. If you were trying to get in my pants, it would work, she said. We better get back to dancing before I become less of a lady. I took her hand and we returned to the dance floor. The lights in the room were bright, but nothing compared to her eyes. We just stood there, hugging each other tightly. Eric, I can't breathe, she said. I tried to loosen the hug, but she hugged me tighter. That's not the point, she said. You can hold me as tight as you want, but it feels like there's no air in this room. We went out onto the deck, and under the moonlight, it felt like it was just us in the world. We were caught in an unstoppable current, like the Borg. Resistance was futile. When our lips touched, time stopped. It felt like the world was spinning around us. I never wanted the kiss to end, but it did. When I kissed Jenny, my heart started beating again, stronger than ever. Instead of emptiness, I felt full, like I could explode. Jenny, I started. Oh, I know, stupid, she said. Just shut up and kiss me again. It felt like the perfect moment, one I wanted to hold on to forever. But reality intervened. What the hell? An angry voice said behind us. Hey, it's Eric, said another. Some woman is attacking him, added a third. Damn trains, said a familiar voice. They can't be stopped. In an instant, my perfect moment shattered. I went from feeling invincible to feeling small and dirty. I faced the angry and confused members of my club, but then Jenny's small hand slipped into mine and I realized I didn't need to apologize. I hadn't done anything wrong. Guys, we're arriving in the morning, I began. We'll meet to discuss the future then. Until then, Tom and Will are in charge. Good night. Everyone looked confused and hurt. Will turned to Tom. For 3 days you've been talking about damn trains, he said. Is this what you meant? Why didn't you just say it? We could have stopped it. How, Will? Tom asked. Something this strong can't be stopped. You just get out of the way. The next morning was strange and quiet, like the calm before a storm. I expected trouble from the club members, but it came from an unexpected direction. I woke up early, eager to see Jenny and Erica, who arrived packed and ready for breakfast. We watched as the ship approached the pier, expertly docked by the crew. Everything seemed fine until the afternoon. We were walking hand in hand, Jenny holding Erica's left and me holding her right, when my phone rang. Eric, where are you? Are you still on the cruise? We have a problem. Is Big Dad having another seizure? I asked. Almost, he said. Is Erica with you? Nancy asked. Yes, she's right here, I said. Make sure she can't hear you, Nancy said. My phone isn't on speaker, I said. The ship just docked. That's good news, Nancy said. For you, maybe, her husband said. My heart can't take this anymore. Eric, how soon can you get to Las Vegas? She asked. About 5 hours if we drive, or an hour by flight, I said. Is it an emergency? Yes, it is, she said. But you can't take Erica with you. We already have return flights booked, I said. I can change my ticket to fly to Vegas first. What's going on? She explained. And I got angry again. Daddy, why is your face red? Erica asked Jenny. I need a favor, I said. No, she said. But I did you a favor last night. She put her hand on my lips. Last night was the best night ever, she said. But everything has changed. We're beyond friendship. If you need something, just ask, because I love you. Daddy and Jenny, sitting in a tree, Erica sang. Celuytsy. I need you to take Erica home, I said. Jenny's face became serious and she nodded. I'll call you as soon as I can, I told her. Eric, I always call you, she laughed. Do you even know my number? Of course, I said. Life must hate me. I woke up with a huge hangover, but this time I knew where I was and why. You're awake? Peggy asked. I turned away from her. I didn't want to hear any more lies. I was in a cell with about 20 other women. The policemen came in to let us make phone calls. Some had called the night before, but the drunk ones, like me, had to wait until morning. It was 9 a.m., so it must have been afternoon in Michigan. I had the phone in my hand, considering my options. I could call my mom, who would be angry, or my husband, which would end my marriage. I dialed my mom's number. She answered on the third ring. Mom, I have a problem, I said. Dana, you're always in trouble, she said cheerfully. Mom, I'm in jail, I said. Well, that's one way to get your own place, she said mockingly. Mom, this is serious. Someone needs to bail me out. You can pay with a credit card, but it has to be in person. What about a bail agent? She asked. I don't have money for that, I said. What did you do? She asked. I don't know exactly, I lied. It's one of those tourist things. Laws are different here. How much is bail? She asked. $2,000, I said. So you only need $200 to get out, right? She asked. No, Mom. Since I live in another state, I'm a flight risk. I need $2,000. Where are you exactly? She asked. I gave her the information. I'll make some calls and arrange a few things, she said. This may take a while. You're not going anywhere anyway. Then she hung up. When I returned to the cell, Peggy was waiting. Can you get me out too? She asked. Why should I? I replied. Because I'm your best friend, she smiled. Peggy, you set me up, I said. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. Dana, I just wanted you to have fun. I couldn't decide who was dumber, her for saying that or me for taking her advice during my divorce. The truth is, my situation was my fault. I thought I was above the rules. I went wild, like many do. For the first time, I had to take full responsibility. Everything was fun until I got pregnant. The guys ran away when things got serious, except Eric. Maybe he was naive or stupid, but he stood by me. I should have been honest with him about cheating and unsure paternity. A DNA test could have saved us a lot of pain. But Eric never asked for one. He accepted us as we were, which only encouraged my behavior. Eric wasn't my dream man. I dreamed of strong, muscular guys. But over the years, we developed good chemistry. I played the obedient wife and rewarded myself with casual flings. I thought I was settled with Eric. Then one day I realized he wasn't so bad. We had the perfect family until Erica's school did a DNA test. Luckily, I never told Eric about it. I sent in a few hairs from his comb and forgot about it. When the results came back, I realized the danger. I destroyed the paper and the evidence. Over the years, I fell in love with Eric. He was already in love. We had a playful relationship. Then I ruined it by sleeping with a 50-year-old yoga teacher. Peggy's stupidity kept the fire going, but it didn't ignite it. I was so lost in my thoughts that I didn't realize how quickly time passed. It took 3 calls and Peggy shaking me to understand I was being called. "Your bail is arranged," said the policeman. "Come with me to sign some paperwork. You can go back to Michigan, but you must appear for your hearing in 60 days, or your bail will be revoked and a warrant issued." I smiled, grateful my mother helped me out. "See you, Peggy," I called over my shoulder. My relief ended when I realized my mother was just putting my problem on hold. Eric was waiting for me, looking disappointed, but not surprised. The flight back to Michigan was the longest, quietest, and most stressful of my life. Eric acted like we were strangers, avoiding touching me as if I had diseases. "Thanks for coming for me," I said. "Maybe you can come to my hearing too." "I'm not sure," he replied. "Eric, we may be divorced, but we still have a child. There must be some feelings left. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come for me." He turned to me and smiled, genuinely happy. "Jenny wants a wedding in June," he said. "I think I'll be on my honeymoon then." And he was right. They got married just before my hearing, and they were on their honeymoon while I returned to Las Vegas. Jenny was sweet and beautiful, and she and Eric were like magnets, glowing brighter together. I had pushed him away, and now they were together because of it. I received a 2-year suspended sentence requiring random checks, which made it impossible to fly back and forth. So I moved to Vegas. Eric took care of Erica full-time, but brought her to see me monthly. He involved me in all decisions about her life. When Erica decided to quit swimming, we all discussed it and realized she had Olympic potential in equestrianism. After returning to Michigan, I lived quietly with my parents until my father died. Now I live with my mother and work at Eric's company. I still hope to meet my Mr. Right someday. Erica burst into our room. "You smell like a horse," I said. "I fed them," she replied. We moved into a large house with room for 2 horses and nearby trails. "Have you told him yet?" she asked Jenny. "No," Jenny replied. "Why does he wear sunglasses in bed?" Erica asked. "He thinks it's funny," Jenny said. "I'll give him a hint," Erica said. "Dad, how many people live in this house?" 5, I said. "You, me, Jenny, and your 2 horses?" "No," she chuckled. 4? Did one of the horses die?" I asked. "No, silly," she said. "Is your grandfather going to live with us?" I guessed. "He's really dumb, isn't he?" Erica asked Jenny. "But he's cute," Jenny said. "We're having a baby, Daddy," Erica said excitedly. I sat up stunned. Jenny nodded. It was one of the happiest days of my life. Jenny and I loved each other deeply. My life was perfect. Tom convinced me to help with his truck rental company. This gave me the idea to start a home delivery service for medical equipment, which became very profitable. We expanded to installing and servicing equipment, especially for the elderly. Dana, my ex-wife, works as a clerk at one of our properties. We're not close, but we come together when necessary. One such time was 8 years after our divorce. Erica was about to turn 18 and was a champion show jumper. She planned to study veterinary science with a focus on equine science. Dana and I decided not to tell Erica about her birth and the fact that I wasn't her biological father. Sometimes the truth does more damage than good. I'm no longer a member of the Great British Club. After the cruise, I gave a speech at a special meeting saying my time with them was over. The club was a bandage for emotional pain, and I didn't need it anymore. I left Tom and Will in charge and handed them the lease.